Hello everybody. Today I would like to tend short talk conversation. Number one. Uh, um, First, the speaker asks the people to write their name at the top in capital letters when getting their rest before doing anything else. Next, he advised them to read the directions carefully before they answer to question and mark their answer on the answer sheet. After that, he suggested telling him if they didn't have a pencil. Finally, he suggested turning in their test and going home when they had finished. Number two. First, the speaker introduced to a concert and Mrs. saw him playing a violin concerto. Next, she announced the concert that evening would be preceded by a free talk by Professor Robert Simon on the history of the violin, and she commented Mr. Simon had a lecture on the violin all around the world. After that, she said that following the performance, they would all go to the lobby to enjoy refreshments. Finally, she introduced to direction who would introduce Professor Simon. Number three. First, the speaker asked the people signing at the desk and get a visitor's pass when entering the building. And then he asked to not lose that pass because they would need to wear it at all times when they were in the building. Next, he suggested waiting for an escort to accompany them to their destination and getting back to the reception desk. After that, he suggested signing out and returning their pass when leaving. Finally, he thanked them for their cooperation. Number four. First, the speaker got the customer's attention because the store would be closed in 15 minutes. Next, she asked them to take all their purchase to the cashier, and she suggested using the express checkout line. If they was buying 5 or fewer items and were paying with cash. After that, she asked them to have a receipt to show a jar when leaving the store. Finally, she suggested checking size and color before they pay because they didn't accept return. Number five. First, the speaker now coming up after the news were their quickened weather report. Next, she announced that reporter Tom Tales would interview Susan Gilbert about her new book, How to Get Rich in a Stock Market, and she commented Miss Gilbert was a renowned expert on investing and finances, and wrote quickly his favorite column, You and Your Money. After that, she supposed the interview should be a very informative show. Finally, she interviewed them to Peter Cook with the news. Number 6. First, the speaker supposed there should be a large turn out for the following afternoon's National Day parade. Then he announced that it would be preceded by a speech by the mayor and the chief of police. Next, he commented that everyone was invited to enjoy and barbecue and fireworks at City Park in the evening. After that, he reminded everyone to attend the morning soccer game at National Stadium, and he suggested arriving early to get a good seat. Finally, he said those were free events. Number 7. First, the speaker announced that a few changes had been made to their conference schedule because scheduling conflict. Then he announced Professor Jameson would be speak immediately following lunch instead of before. Next, he said that morning coffee would be served in a front hall instead of in a dinner room. After that, he announced the morning workshops would be begin at 10 o'clock as originally scheduled. However, the afternoon sections would begin at 1:30. Finally, he introduced to Mr. Carter, who would give the opening talk. Number 8. First, the speaker announced that the president had left that day for a visit to Latin America. Next, she announced the president would head first to a meeting in Mexico City with leaders from Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico. After that, she announced following a few days of rest at the Mexican Beach Resort. The president would go on to meetings with Hester stay in Peru and Ecuador. Finally, she said that the president would tour factories and meet with union leaders in both countries. Number 9. First, the speaker congratulated for becoming an owner of the Barrett of Griffith 2010 Barrett market machine. Next, he commented they were sure to enjoy the luxury of having fresh baked bread every day in their home. After that, he said it was easy to use their new bread machine, and he suggested choosing a recipe from the instruction book, assembling and measuring their ingredients and place them in the machine. Finally, he supposed they wouldn't be able to wait for their first taste as the bread bakes. Number 10. First, the speaker announced that they could register for class by phone and avoid the long lines of the registration office. Then he suggested calling 332-2445 and pressing 1 if they were a new student of pressing to if they were a returning student. Next, he suggested entering their social security number and the class number. After that, he suggested entering their credit card numbers and hanging up. After they had selected all their classes, finally he announced that they would receive a receipt by mail within 5 days.
Hello everybody, today I would like to tell you about 10 short talk. Number 1. First, the speaker asked the people to write their name at the top in capital letters when getting their test before doing anything else. Next, he advised them to read the directions carefully before they answered questions and mark their answers on the answer sheet. After that, he suggested telling him if they didn't have a pencil. And finally, he suggested turning in their test and going home when they had finished. Number 2. First, the speaker introduced to concert and Miss Soo Kim playing a violin concerto. Next, she announced the concert that evening would be preceded by a brief talk by Professor Robert Simon on the history of the violin, and she commented, Mr. Simon had lectured on violin all around the world. After that, she said that following the performance, they would all go to the lobby to enjoy refreshment. Finally, she introduced to a director who would introduce Professor Simon. Number 3. First, the speaker asked to the people sitting at the desk and get a visitor pass when entering the building. Then he asked to do not lose that pass because they would need to wear it at all times when they were in the building. And next, he suggested waiting for an escort to accompany them to their destination and getting back to the reception desk. After that, he suggested signing out and returning their pass when leaving, and finally, he thanked them for their cooperation. And number 4. First, the speaker got the customer's attention because the store would be closed in 15 minutes. And next, she asked them to take on their purchases to the cashier, and she suggested using the express checkout lane if they were buying 5 or fewer items and were paying with cash. After that, she asked them to have the receipt to show the guard when leaving the store. And finally, she suggested checking size and color before they pay because they didn't accept return. Number 5. Firstly, the speaker announced that coming up after the news was their weekend weather report. And next, she announced that reporter Tom Tales would interview Susan Gilbert about her new book, How to Get Rich in Stock Market, and she commented, Ms. Gilbert was a renowned expert on investing and finances and wrote weekly newspaper column You and Your Money. After that, she supposed the interview should be a very informative show. Finally, she introduced them to be the cook with the news. And number 6. Firstly, the speaker supposed there should be a large turnout for the following afternoon's National Day parade. And then he announced that it would be preceded by speeches by the mayor and chief of police. Next, he commented, everyone was invited to enjoy the barbecue and fireworks at City Park in the evening. After that, he reminded everyone to attend the morning soccer game at National Stadium, and he suggested arriving early to get a good seat. And finally, he said those are free events. Number 7. First, the speaker announced that a few changes had been made to their conference schedule because of scheduling conflict. Then he announced the Professor Jamison would be speak immediately following lunch instead of before. And next, he said that morning coffee would be served in a front hall instead of in a dining room. After that, he announced the morning workshops would be begin at 10 o'clock as originally scheduled. However, the afternoon sessions would be begin at 1:30. Finally, he introduced to Miss Carter, who would give the opening talk. Number 8. First, the speaker announced that the president had left that day for a visit to Latin America. Next, she announced that the president would head first to a meeting in Mexico City with the leaders from Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico. After that, she announced the following a few days of rest at the Musician Beach Resort. The president would go on to meetings with heads of state in Peru and Ecuador. And finally, she said that the president would tour factories and meet with union leaders in both countries. Number 9. First, the speaker congratulated for becoming an owner of the Breakorific 2010 brake making machine. And next, he commented they were sure to enjoy the luxury of having fresh baked bread every day in their home. After that, he said it was easy to use their new brake machine, and he suggested choosing a recipe from the instruction book, assembling and measuring their ingredients, and placing them in the machine. And finally, he supposed they wouldn't be able to wait for their first taste as the bread baked. The last number. First, the speaker announced that they could register for classes by phone and avoid long lines of the registration office. Then she suggested calling 332-2445 and pressing 1 if they were a new student, or pressing 2 if they were a return student. Next, she suggested entering their social security number and the class number. After that, she suggested entering their credit card numbers and hang up after they had selected on their classes. And finally, she announced that they would receive a receipt by mail within 5 days.
Hello everyone. Today I would like to tell you about a short talk conversations. The conversation one. First, the speaker asked the people to write their name at the top in capital letters when getting their test before doing anything else. Next, he advised them to read the directions carefully before they answered the questions and mark their answers on the answer sheet. After that, he started telling him if they didn't have a pencil. Finally, he started turning in their test and going home when they had finished. Number 2. First, the speaker introduced about a concert and Miss Chu Kim playing a violin concerto. Next, she announced the concert that evening would be preceded by a brief talk by Professor Robert Simon on the history of the violin, and she commented, Mr. Simon had left on the violin on throughout the wood. After that, she said that following the performance, they could all go to the lobby to enjoy refreshments. Finally, she introduced two directors who would introduce Professor Simon. Number 3. First, the speaker asked to the people sitting at the desk and gather visitors pass when entering the building. Then he asked to do not lose that pass because they would need to wear it at all times when they were in the building. Next, he started waiting for an escort to accompany them to their destination and getting back the reception desk. After that, he started signing out and returning their pass when leaving. And finally, he thanked them for their cooperation. The conversation for first, the speaker got the customers' attention because the store would be closed in 15 minutes. Next, she asked them to take on their purchase to the cashier, and she started using the express checkout lane. If they were buying 5 or fewer items and were paying with cash. After that, she asked them to have the receipt to show the words when leaving the store. Finally, she started checking size and color before they pay because they didn't accept return. Number 5. First, the speaker announced coming up after the news was their weekend weather report. Next, she announced that reporter Tom Tales would interview Susan Gilbert about her new book, How to Get Rich in Stock Market, and she commented Miss Gilbert was a renowned expert on investing and finances, and wrote weekly newspapers column You and Your Money. After that, she supposed the interview should be a very informative show, and finally she introduced them to Peter Cook with the news. Number 6. First, the speaker supposed there be a large turnout for the following after National Day Parade. Then he announced that it could be preceded by speeches by the mayor and the chief of police. Next, he commented that everyone was invited to enjoy a barbecue and fireworks at the city park in the evening. After that, he reminded everyone to attend the morning soccer game at the National Stadium, and he started arriving early to get a good seat. Finally, he said those were free events. The number 7. First, the speaker announced that a few changes had been made to their conference schedule because scheduling for conflict. Then he announced Professor Jameson would be speak immediately following lunch instead of before. Next, he said that morning coffee would be served in a front hall instead of in a dining room. After that, he announced the morning workshops would be begin at 10 o'clock as originally scheduled. However, the afternoon sessions would begin at 1:30. Finally, he introduced to Miss Carter, who would give the opening talk. Number 8. First, the speaker announced that the president had left that day for a visit to Latin America. Next, she announced the president would head first to a meeting in Mexico City with leaders from Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico. After that, she announced following a few days of rest at the Mexican beach resort. The president could go on to meetings with heads of state in Peru and Ecuador. Finally, she said that the president could tour factories and meet with union leaders in both countries. The number 9. First, the speaker congratulated for becoming an hour of the Olympic 2010 brick making machine. Next, he commented the girls were to enjoy the luxury of having fresh baked brick every day in their home. After that, he said it was easy to use their new brick machine, and he started choosing a recipe from the instruction book, assembling and measuring their ingredients and placing them in the machine. Finally, he supposed they wouldn't be able to wait for their first taste as the bread baked. The last number. First, the speaker announced that they could register for classes by phone and avoid the long lines of the registration office. Then she started calling 332-2445 and pressing 1 if they were a new student or pressing 2 if they were a return student. Next, she started entering their social security number and the class number. After that, she started entering their credit card numbers and hanging up after they had selected on their classes. Finally, she announced that they could receive a receipt by email within 5 days.
Hello everyone. Today I would like to tell you 10 short thoughts. Number 1. Firstly, the speakers asked the people to write their name at the top in capital letters when getting their test before doing anything else. Next, he advised them to read the directions carefully before they answered the questions and mark their answers on the answer sheet. After that, he suggested telling him if they didn't have a pencil, and finally he suggested turning in their test and going home when they had finished. Number 2. First, the speaker introduced about a concert and Miss Soo Kim playing a violin concerto. Next, she announced the concert that evening would be preceded by a brief talk by Professor Robert Simon on the history of the violin, and she commented Mr. Simon had lectured on the violin all around the world. After that, she said that following the performance, they could all go to the lobby to enjoy refreshments. And finally, she introduced the director who would introduce Professor Simon. Number 3. Firstly, the speaker asked the people signing at the desk and get a visitor's pass when entering the building. Then he asked to don't lose that pass because they would need it. They would need to wear it at all times when they are wearing the building. Next, he suggested waiting for an escort to accompany them to their destination and getting back to the reception desk. After that, he suggested signing out and returning their pass when leaving, and finally he thanked them for their cooperation. Number 4. Firstly, the speaker got the woman's attention because the store could be closed in 15 minutes. Next, she asked them to take all their purchases to the cashier, and she suggested using the express checkout lane if they were buying 5 or fewer items and were paying with cash. After that, she asked them to have the receipt to show the guard when they leaving the store. And finally, she suggested checking size and color before they pay because they didn't accept return. Number 5. Firstly, the speaker announced coming up after the news was their weekend weather report. Next, she announced that report. Tom tells a good interview Susan Gilbert about her new book, How to Get It in stock market, and she commented Miss Gilbert was a renowned expert on investing and finances, and wrote a weekly newspaper column, You and Your Money. After that, she supposed the interview should be a very informative show, and finally she introduced them to Peter Cook with the news. Number 6. First, the speaker supposed there should be a large turnout for the following afternoon's National Day parade, and then he announced that it could be preceded by speeches by the mayor and the chief of police. Next, he commented that everyone was invited to enjoy a barbecue and fireworks at City Park in the evening. And after that, he reminded everyone to attend the morning soccer game at National Stadium, and he suggested arriving early to get a good seat. And finally, he said those were free events. Number 7. Firstly, the speaker announced that a few changes had been made to their conference schedule because scheduling conflict. Then he announced Professor Jamieson could be speak immediately following lunch instead of before. Next, he said that morning coffee could be served in the front hall instead of in the dining room. After that, he announced the morning workshops could be begin at 10 o'clock as originally scheduled, and however the afternoon sessions could begin at 1:30. And finally, he introduced to Miss Carter, who could give the opening talk. Number 8. First, the speaker announced that the president had left that day for a visit to Latin America. Next, she announced the president would head first to a meeting in Mexico City with leaders from Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico. After that, she announced following a few days of the Mexican beach resort, and the president could go on to meetings with heads of state in Peru and Ecuador. Finally, she said that the president would tour factories and meet with union leaders in both countries. Number 9. Firstly, The speaker congratulated for becoming an owner of the bread of Rifik 2010 bread making machine. Next, he commented that they were sure to enjoy the luxury of having fresh baked bread every day in their home. After that, he said it was easy to use their new bread machine, and he suggested choosing a recipe from the instruction book, assembling and measuring their ingredients and placing them in the machine. And finally, he supposed they wouldn't be able to wait for their first taste as the bread baked.
Yes.
The last, first, the speaker announced they could register for classes by phone and avoid the long lines of the registration office. Then she suggested calling 332445 and pressing 1 if they were a new student and pressing 2 if they were a returning student. And next, she suggested entering their social security number and the class number. And after that, she suggested entering their credit card number and hanging up after they had selected all their classes. And finally, she announced that they would receive a receipt by mail within 5 days. Thank you for listening.